Hello! Before we dive into another episode, I've got an exciting announcement. For those of you that don't know, Monday the 13th to Sunday the 19th of May is Mental Health Awareness Week. As part of this, I'm excited to say that You Talk Too Much is partnering with the incredible charity Industry Minds. Industry Minds are a UK award-winning and industry-leading mental health charity for the creative arts. Founded in 2018, the charity focuses on providing low-cost and free mental health support to everyone in the creative arts industry. They also provide support seminars on productions across the UK and the US. I am delighted to be partnering with Industry Minds for Mental Health Awareness Week. And if you need any more information or would like to donate, please head to the link in the show notes. Hello and welcome to another episode of You Talk Too Much, the podcast where I turn my incessant chatter into a platform for insightful conversation. Today I am joined by the joyful Laura Dawn Pyatt. Laura is an actor, dancer, choreographer and food blogger who has appeared in shows like The Ordinary Days, Six and is currently in rehearsals for the incredible 42 Balloons. Laura, thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm amazing.
Yeah.
That was such a good introduction.
You enjoy that?
I loved it and hated it all at the same time, all in one go.
Well, you know what? That's what it's all about. I did warn you. I was like, I go cheesy.
Do you know what? Because you said it, I loved it. Yeah.
Perfect. So to start things off, let's go right back to the very beginning. So where did this journey of acting, of life, whatever it may be to you, where did this journey begin?
Where did it begin? I think in my head, I like to think that I was like, I was always that little girl who was like, Mum, can I do a show for you? When I was like 5 and 6, but I kind of had no idea what I was doing. I didn't do like classes. I went to a ballet class when I was like 5 and hated every second. So I wasn't really like mainstream in lessons wanting to do this career. But my family are quite creative. So I was always surrounded by art and like always watched musical movies and loved West Side Story. And my brother is a big martial arts fan. So I used to do martial arts with my brother, which is sort of how I got into dance in a way, which is a bit bizarre. But I kind of found that because I like love to hit things, I had quite a powerful energy. So then when I started doing like Amdram when I started when I was about 12, but took it properly when I was like 16. People were like, wow, you can dance. And I was like, no, I can't. I can hit stuff. But they were like, well, it's kind of the same thing. So then I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I'm a dancer now. I always thought I was like just kind of doing it for fun, but then I was like, okay. And then people I was doing Amdram with, they went off to Mountview and I was like, wow, what is this school? What is this place? Discovered drama schools, went to drama school. I went to Mountview, which I was very lucky to do, started on the foundation course and then I did the 3 years. But I would say I was just kind of doing it because I loved it. And I was a bit of a hobby nerd in terms of every night I would just be like, what can I do on a Monday?
Just a busy person.
I was a busy person. And my mum and dad like worked quite late a lot of the time as well. So I was always like, I don't want to be at home. My brother's a busy person as well. He always did loads of hobbies. So I was like, I want to be out and about, whether that was like going to the field with friends or going to dance or going to anything. And I was lucky in a way that I think it got to a point when I was about 16 when the place I was doing dancing, they gave me a scholarship to come because it was expensive and we couldn't really afford it. It was like kind of one of those things where I was like, I want to do it. And my mum had like heard people go, Laura should dance. She's got talent. She's got natural talent. And like my mum was like, what, it's too much. But then the school I was at kind of helped me. My mum then did the amazing mum thing. And my dad also was like dropping me there every single night.
Yeah.
Which like, at the time you take for granted. You're like, oh my God, yeah, please take me to this dance class.
You don't think about it until either, I don't know, because obviously within our world, we teach a lot, we do all these things. You see that happen. And like from my experience, it's incredible the amount your parents do for you. Like we're all the same. You don't realise. You don't realise.
No, and like my dad always used to say like, oh yeah, dad's taxis. And I used to be like, stop saying that. Like, you're just taking me here because I can't drive yet. But then you think about it, it's like, no, they've had a full day at work.
Yeah.
And they're coming home, immediately driving half an hour for me to go and prance around while they're waiting in the car still working and then driving me home. And then they're waking up and after they've done all the dishes and and all of this, and then going again the next day and doing that every day for a week.
Yeah.
In order for me to do what I love.
It doesn't stop at the weekends. It probably gets more intense at the weekends.
Saturday was like the day.
Yeah. Especially if your brother was doing that as well. So they're probably dropping you somewhere, or one of them's doing that, one of them's gone there. They've then not got time for each other.
Absolutely. And it's like, if they hadn't have like taken those sacrifices for me, I honestly don't know whether I would like be here today. And again, if my like school that I went to didn't believe in me and go, we know you can't afford to be here, but we're going to help you.
Yeah.
Again, maybe wouldn't have been here today because of that. And there is an element where I think like, yes, I worked really hard and I did all those things, but there's also an element of privilege of I had support around me
but I think
to really help me.
Support is everything.
Yeah.
But no matter how much support you have, you still have to work for it. And like, you probably didn't know, maybe you did, I don't know, but you probably didn't know the extent of the help or the support you were getting at the time.
No.
Or even... not even the help, you didn't even acknowledge because it was just a thing you probably did. I don't know how privy to conversations about the scholarship you were until your adult life.
Yeah.
So you still worked hard to get it.
Yeah.
But even if you did know, you probably, a lot of people go, well, I'm going to work harder. It's that thing, it's the respect they've earned from you.
Yeah.
That you then put the hard work in.
And it absolutely was that in terms of like, even at drama school, I was like, I didn't get a dada. So like, we were paying the way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that meant like had to work whilst being at drama school, and like, there was helping hands along the way from like my family doing everything in the more they could to help me. Again, like my nan wouldn't be here without her, but also the school were like, there was times where they were like, we will help you now. We know you've done as much as you can. We'll step in and try and help you find money from places. Because when I started, I openly said to them like, I don't know how we're going to do this. Help me. And they were like, we'll figure it out. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Can we figure that out soon?
Until
but
like the day the fees are due and they're like, where is it? You're like,
honestly, and I remember there being a point in second year going, what are we going to do? Because like, this is a problem. But yeah, it was. But what I mean by that is like also being there every day at drama school, you're like, I'm paying £120 a day to be here. So I'm going to make it count.
That is
Do you know what
mad.
I mean? Like, I'm going to work.
I've actually never, this sounds really privileged.
Yeah.
But where I trained, I obviously didn't have to pay fees because I was a Scottish citizen, or I was a resident in Scotland and studied in Scotland. And the way that the government worked up there. But someone still paid for it. It was just subsidised by taxpayers and stuff like that. But down here, it never even, and I can guarantee you, almost 90% of people that go to drama school probably doesn't cross their mind of the actual breakdown of £120 a day. Wow. And it's probably more now.
It's more. Yeah. It is more now. And that's kind of heartbreaking for me because like, I think drama schools need to be more accessible. Like they just do. And they do a lot of work to try and make it more accessible. But I mean, I think recently a lot of like grants have been cut. A lot of dadas have been pulled. And I'm like, no. Because
it's a weird one because it's like, on one side, they're a business, right? And they've got to make money and they've got to pay salaries and they've got to pay for all these opportunities that they get. They've got to do all this kind of thing that they say they do. And we can say I was very lucky at the opportunities I had at the drama school I went to. Yeah. However, there is also ways that, again, we don't know the ins and outs and the overheads of fees and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and that is...
But I've just heard things about, since like C19, since COVID, I've just heard things happening in first rounds that I don't understand. Things like self-tapes not being watched, having someone paid £60. I can't, and this is very much a declaration of I can't prove that. I don't know if that's true or not. It's hearsay.
Rumour has it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But is it a sad turn of affairs that I wouldn't be surprised if you're receiving tens of thousands of applications that you probably do slip through the cracks in some of them, and it's hard. It's hard to justify that. A friend of mine thinks that if you're self-taping, it should be free. But then on the flip side of that, on a business side, someone's going to watch them.
And that's also a lot of how a lot of the drama schools fund their
Yeah.
their year. It's
Yeah,
kind of through
through
the auditions and
or
fees.
their shows or all these things that go
yeah.
on.
Literally that. Yeah.
But I think support is always there, which is a wonderful thing. And I think that someone like yourself, and I like to think I do the same, is that we like to give back. So I wouldn't be surprised if you've been back to your dance school since. Like
I have,
yeah. But of course you
Yeah.
do, because it's almost like you feel like you owe it, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There was a really nice moment actually when I performed in my hometown for the first time when I was on tour.
Wow.
And I mean, I was ill that week, of course.
Typical.
The 1 week on tour that you're ill is the one I'm in my hometown. But I was like, it was that moment of, I performed at this theatre when I was 16, thinking, oh, I'd love to be a performer one day. And then I came back and I was like, wow. And I had like my dance school that I went to, like, they brought a little trip to see me. And I remember I was just I was sobbing. I was literally like, wow, this is what it's all for. And interestingly, like, I spoke to some of the girls after and they were like, oh, that actually, like, it wasn't one of my favourite venues. And I went, but the thing is, like, what that show and shows in those venues that you may not think are, like, the nicest places, it means so much more because, like, I was that little kid when those regional shows came.
Yeah.
And I went, wow. I remember seeing West Side Story at the Regent Theatre and I remember going, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's important for those touring venues not just to go to the fancy places like Oxford or, you know, like the lovely, lovely parts of the UK, which are lovely to tour to. But like Stoke for me, I was like, this is where we're actually really doing the work here, because it just like these opportunities in those kind of places aren't, they're quite few and far between.
It's like a homecoming without anyone knowing you're having a homecoming.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you stand there and you're like, but it's just it is quite literally one of life's full circle moments.
It really was.
Yeah.
I was grateful for it. I was like, I felt this, and it was kind of stood there going, I feel like this is a career highlight of mine, even though I don't know that yet. Do you know what I mean? But I was like,
well, career highlights happen. It's a highlight for a reason. You might look back in 20, 30 years' time and it might be the first highlight. Yeah. It might be the second. It might be the third. You don't know that until.
But I feel like it's rare that you live through a moment going, I feel like this could be.
Yeah.
So I'm going to really try and take this in.
Yeah. And be present in the moment. And
I
don't think anyone's very good at that.
Especially performers.
Oh, because you're always thinking the next thing.
Always thinking the next thing, whether that's like, I want to get through rehearsals to do the shows, whether that's I want to get through the shows to audition, whether that's I want to audition to get the job. It's like you're always thinking 6 months ahead. Yeah. And this is like, to be honest, I'm preaching this because this is like my goal for this year, is to like be present. We were literally talking about this before we even started. Like, I want to be present every day because I think it's so, like, performers we're a bit greedy. We so just want the next thing.
I agree with that. It's so fleeting. And I think that a lot of performers, I mean, I'm not saying a lot of performers, I'm like this. So I'm not saying it it's a bad thing. I actually think it's a great quality.
Me too.
You're always driving for more.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you book a job that someone somewhere would dream of having that opportunity, but it's never good enough. And I think there is a pool of people who maybe don't have that drive but are happy to just like bob along, and that's their drive. That's great. But a lot of like friends of ours and stuff, I've noticed that they're like, great, I've done this job, what next? Yeah. And it's not necessarily even about I want to win a BAFTA, I want to win an Olivier, I want to win this. It's like, what next? Where else can I be creative? How can I use that for this? All these things. Yeah. And I don't think it's a bad quality to have, but it is. Someone actually who has been on the show, Neil, said it's like, what did he say? To paraphrase it, it was a bit of his advice to himself was, I'm going to absolutely butcher it because it was beautiful. It was something like, celebrate the wins and sit in the losses. And I just think that's really quite, I'd never thought of it that way.
Do you know what? In rehearsals, we, an amazing performer called Lejean said something so profound that I was like, wow, this changed my life. So I'm going to tell you right now what he said. And he said, as performers, we always brace ourselves for disappointment. Like, we literally brace, you know, like when you're like, I mean, I especially do this, and I go, oh, if I'm waiting to hear an audition, I go, I'm going to expect that I'm not going to get it. I'm going to brace myself all week for the idea that I might not get it. And he said, like, what if we all just stop doing that for a moment? And like, why don't we brace ourselves for success? Like, why don't we actually not brace ourselves badly for anything, and just like, if we get disappointed, deal with it then. And then like, actually set yourself up for like, what happens if it actually does turn out to be amazing? And I also feel like as performers, we spend so much time, like for me right now, I'm like, oh, I'm nervous for the shows. And I'm like, why am I spending all this time bracing myself to be nervous for shows when I could actually be like, I'm going to brace myself for the beauty that is going to be 2 weeks of shows.
Yeah, I think, and you've hinted on something there that I heard in another podcast that it's almost like a psychology thing of actually I could talk about it. It's a podcast called Cambro Conversations, who actually Colin is essentially the inspiration to why I started this.
Wow.
And he was talking with a guest who was the sports psychologist, I believe, for like the Yankees or something, a big American baseball team. I was going to say American football, they're a baseball team. And
I think I had their cap once.
yeah, bought an ASOS.
Yeah. Got it from a charity shop, thought it was cool. I had no idea.
And she said something about talking to some of the players, like you had your best like players in the league playing for this team on millions and millions of dollars, playing for the World Series, and like he asked, how do you deal with them getting nervous? Because I'm pretty sure athletes at that level have so much on the line. There's hundreds of thousands, there's millions of people watching at home. How do you deal with the nerves? And she's like, I say one sentence, which is change the sentence from I'm nervous to I'm excited. And it's so close psychologically, the feeling of it. And I've started doing that a little bit with like, if there's maybe like a conversation I'm going to have with someone that maybe I'm excited to talk about, but I'm actually going, oh, I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah.
It's having that, no, I'm excited. That's how cool is it that we get to sit down for an hour and just chat about things.
Yeah. And I think whenever you say to someone, oh, I'm nervous, they go, it's because you care.
100%.
And it comes from that place of care as well. And it's like the best stuff happens out of your comfort zone. So if you're not a bit scared and a bit like, oh, I also think you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's passion at the end of the day.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
To go back just slightly to what we were saying, so when did you know that you wanted this to be your career? Was there a moment, or did you just kind of fall into it?
I think I've always kind of known. I didn't, to be honest, I'm not quite sure. I feel like I always thought it was kind of maybe a thing, but I kind of thought I wanted to do it on TV. I think I just watched movies and I was sort of like, I want to just do what this person does. Didn't really have a clue how they did it. And it was sort of that thing of like, I didn't really know how to get there, but I was like, I kind of want to do this thing, but not quite sure. And again, like I was kind of put at a crossroads when I was in college, because it was sort of like, do I go and do this like BTEC full-time performance, or do I do my A-levels? And I remember people saying to me, like, I think you should go and do your A-levels. And I remember thinking like, no, that's the end. That's not what performers do. How am I going to do this? And actually, I'm so glad I went down that route, because one, it didn't hinder me in the end. I still managed to get to where I wanted to get to. And two, I like gained so many skills in psychology and photography, which I now use in my life still. And it's like, I feel like people get so set on how the route should be. Do you know what I mean? On like, you should do this to get to here. And I mean, personally, my whole A to B to C has been kind of different to many people. I suppose not in the nature of like, to be fair, how I got to drama school, but even like my drama school experience and how I finished to where I am now was very different to everyone else in my year.
Yeah.
Not to everyone else, but to like some people in my year, not in a bad way, not in a good way. Like what I think is so beautiful is people all end up in the same place, and no one's success is any better than anybody else's. And like what success is to one person is completely different to someone else. Like some people in my year are like, I'm the most successful person in the world, and they've quit the industry because that's what success is for them, because they're like, you know what, it wasn't making me happy. So actually my success in my life is to own that and to do something completely different. And like, to me, success is like being able to live in London and survive while I'm auditioning. Like, that's successful to me.
Yeah.
And like, whether I get a job in a cafe or whether I get a UK tour, like, if I'm still singing and dancing and doing what I love, to me, I'm still winning.
Yeah.
And I think like that has been my sort of like my Bear Grylls mentality really of this industry, because I feel like what you were saying earlier actually about like we all have this drive, And sometimes it's a bit of a scary drive because we always want the next thing. But actually, like, we wouldn't be performers if we didn't have that drive, because you can't survive. Like, it's such a hard industry, and it's worth it. But
the highs are so high.
The highs are so high.
And the lows are so low.
The lows are so low. And there's also no rhyme or reason. Like, some of my most talented friends in the whole wide world are still waiting for an audition a year down the line, or like, you can't say, oh, you're getting them because of this reason and you're not getting them because of this reason. Yeah. Like, it's so luck of the draw. And I think people say that a lot too in drama school, like, it's a lot to do with luck, and you go, yeah. Not for me though, I won't be like that. But it is that. It's about right time, right place, people, so many factors. I don't know how I've got to this point, and I don't know how we started here, but I just, it kind of mesmerizes me, really. I think there's like a million tracks. Yeah,
and we're all on different ones.
Yeah.
And like, some are really long journeys, and some are like that express train that we all want to get home. And I think everyone wants to get that quick train. I think partly it's a generational thing that even if you go into like a business world, people want to start a business and in 6 months have it grossing 7 figures in revenue and all this. And like, while one person might crack that code and figure out that gap in the market and get there, and then inevitably move somewhere and have the lifestyle that person dreams of, if that person grinds it out in 10 years time, 20 years time, they'll have that destination. Or maybe not to the scale or the luxuries, but they'll have had success. And that you touched on it there, and I think it was a really nice point of saying that success is, for me anyway, success is so subjective.
No, it's so subjective.
It's so, I mean, I've spoken to people who ask me, like, what was it like doing this? What was it like doing that? And I go, great, it was nice, but like, actually the real grind of it, the real success for me is, as you said, is holding down that secondary or that income job. We used to call them like side hustles or B jobs type of thing, like whatever you want. I'm like, but it's not a B job, because actually it is the job. That is your job, that is your lifestyle. And it's something that I think, as again going back to it, celebrate the wins, because when they do come, they're incredible. But also just sit in the lows and be like, Tom Hanks said it, this too shall pass.
Yeah. My God,
Yeah, this too shall pass. Because
Tom Hanks, we love you.
The reason I love it, and I really want to find that round table conversation, just so I can sit and watch him talk to like Shia LaBeouf and Adam Sandler all in the same thing.
I know exactly which round table conversation you're talking about.
And he said, this too shall pass. It went viral, so everyone's probably seen it already. But he went, this too shall pass. The bad times, this too shall pass. The good times, this too shall pass. And I think that is something that I'm really trying to, as you say, be present with and set that in that, because it's helped me a lot in the last 6 months. And I think they talk about luck. You've got to make your own luck sometimes, and like,
you absolutely have to
just enjoy to be that guy, enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride, because when you stop in the stations, like tracks, when you stop at the stations, sometimes they're the best in the world. How many times have you been on a train and went, I would never get off here, this is the worst station, look at this, look, it says do not alight here, and it's like trees growing out of the platform, and then you get off at, I don't know, some fancy train station here, and you get off and you're like, this is incredible. And I think that's something to celebrate when you do get those ones.
And it's absolutely about the journey, because I also think if you put too many things on a pedestal, it's good to have vision, it's good to have dreams, but if you put something too high, you're setting yourself up for disappointment almost as well. I think the best advice someone gave to me was like, when you're in an audition and you get to those finals and it's like, okay, this could change my life, and if I don't get it, I'm going to be so sad. It's like, no, have plan A and plan B. Plan A is you get the job, and how amazing, you get to go and do it, and you get something really exciting. Plan B, you don't get the job, but I'm going to go traveling instead, and I'm going to, I'm going to put a play on with my friends. I'm going to start a podcast. It's like, have something that if you get the no, you go, brilliant. Yeah. Because now it means this plan goes in place. And actually, that's just as exciting. Yeah. And I think that's such a great way to think, because I think it kind of also puts it in fate's hands a bit. And again, you're not failing. Yeah. Like, just because you don't book a job, it doesn't mean you're a failure. Yeah. Like, you've got to the finals. That's unbelievable.
And 9 times out of 10, I mean, maybe this is just what I tell myself, but 9 times out of 10, it's probably got nothing to do with what you did.
Nothing.
If you're at that point, they like
Nothing.
you. If you've went through 5-6 auditions, they like you.
If you're in the room,
they like you.
you.
It's something a casting director once said to me, which I again never thought about. I was actually speaking to another guest about it, that's saying that when I graduated, I was really young. I used to always think I was being tested in castings and stuff, and it wasn't until I was like in like I say in mid-20s. I'm still technically there, I suppose. But I'm definitely late 20s now. I said that, and I'm definitely. I had a moment.
We can dream.
When I was in my mid-20s, 6 months ago, a casting director said that I saw something. I saw in a video that they really want you to be good. They want to support you, and ever since I heard that, I went, "Well, yeah, of course that's correct. Why would they want me to? Why? How hard would their life be if they wanted everyone to fail?" Right? Okay, yeah, their job would be easier if one person came in and blew their socks off and then they just cast that person and then they can walk away. But there's so much more to the puzzle than that. And it's something that I think the quicker people realise or accept, you won't accept it all the time. You come and go from it. If you accept it, I think life just becomes a little bit easier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. And it's hard, but
yeah, it is hard.
Hard to do, but it's so right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spoke about creating work, and something I wanted to just like touch on was your journey with The Ordinary Days. It is The Ordinary Days, or is it just Ordinary Days?
Just Ordinary Days. I was questioning that. I was like, is it?
Is it there? No, it's just Ordinary
Terrible
Days.
if it is. If it is The Ordinary Days. Wow.
Yeah.
How bad.
Yeah. Definitely.
I don't know that, but I think it is just Ordinary Days.
How did that come about?
Right. Well, where to begin? This actually started over me and my gorgeous friend Hannah, two actors who were getting no auditions, trying every open call they could, doing all the classes, all the workshops, and going, we're in a rut. What's going on? We went for coffee and we went, what can we do? Like, what can we do? We had this idea. We were like, should we just put on a concert? Should we put on a concert? We'll do it, we'll just, put on a little concert, invite some people, see if we can get the ball rolling a bit. And then we started looking into theatres around London, and I was like, actually, this is doable. It's more doable than people think it is.
Yeah.
It's more affordable than people think it is. There's like a 50-50 like box office split you can do with a lot of theatres. So actually, it's very easy to put on your own work. It's easier than I think people imagine. What isn't easy is the actual producing and getting it going and having the bravery to do it is a whole different thing. But actually, the logistics side of it is quite simple to get your head around. And then I was like, hang on a second, Hannah. I was like, if we're going to do this, why don't we do this? I was like, my dream show of all time, my dream role that I want to play, other than Anne Boleyn. She was always my dream role. But my other dream role that I always used to sing in drama school, and when you're at home and everyone's out the house and you do karaoke and you find that one song, that was Ordinary Days for me. And I was like, if I'm being honest, I'm being branded as a dancer. I'm being branded as the girl who's got a great swing brain and all like this. But I was like, my casting is not the, acting through song, no dance show. Yeah. Deep, conflicted, beautiful characters. That's not where I'm at right now. So why wait for someone to give me that when I can try and do it myself? And me and Hannah had this big chat, and I went, let's just look up the rights. Let's just do it. And I looked them up, and I was like, right, yep, okay. But talk to me budgeted it all, and we were like, okay, this is what we're looking at. This is how much money we need. This is the people we need, the resources. And we just brainstormed it, one big brainstorm. That was over a coffee. And then 6 months later, we were putting the show on. 6 months? Yeah.
That's quick.
Yeah. It was quick.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that quick. I thought it might be a pipe dream idea, park it away, and then it comes back.
It was a pipe dream idea, but it was also one of those pipe dreams idea where, was it after lockdown? I think it was after lockdown. Honestly, the years blur into one now, but I think it was after lockdown. Oh, honestly, I think it was after lockdown. And also by that point, I was sick of waiting for things. We'd waited for so long that I was like, I'm also a firm believer of sometimes you have to give yourself a deadline, else you'll never do it. And I am that person. If I don't go, you've got a deadline to do this. And I have to say, me and Hannah as a team were amazing, because if I had a to-do list, if I was slacking on something, Hannah would be calling me up going, Laura, have you done this yet? And I'd go, no. And she'd be going, come on, do it. Yeah. And I'd go, Hannah, have you done this yet? And she'd be like, yep, I've done it. And I'd be like, you're amazing. Yeah. But she was amazing because we got it done. And there was some things that I was like, we've never done this before. But at the end of the day, Google's your friend. Podcasts are your friend. Books are your friend. like interviews of people talking about how they've built stuff is your
Yeah.
friend. And it's all out there. And you only learn by doing and failing and succeeding. And the project was ambitious, and the project was really a massive passion project for myself and Hannah. But we got people involved who were like passionate about us and passionate about art, and people who were just dying to be in a room together. And I think it created something so magical. And still to this day, I think it, again, as I was living it, thinking this is probably going to be a career highlight for me because I've never produced before. I'm also doing my dream show with people who are just here because they want, again, to support me and to support my dream and to support each other and just be here for the love of art. And like, it was a bit crazy. And sometimes I think back on it and go like, we did it to invite loads of industry people and no one from the industry came really. But I say industry, like we did it to get seen by people.
Yeah.
No one came to see us, but I felt like even now sometimes I meet people and they're like, oh, I came to see Ordinary Days and it meant a lot to me.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, when I started that, you were not in my head the person I was thinking I was going to reach with that piece of art.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I was doing it for kind of other reasons. Like I was doing it for my passion project and for my heart and to keep me going as a performer. And it actually turned out going, you know what, we've just done a thing. We've done a thing that's actually made a difference to people.
Yeah.
And is that not why we do this job in the first place? I kind of went, wow, like that's
if
kind
someone
of amazing.
comes and can escape from whatever they're going through, whether it's a good thing or not, like
Yeah.
if they're escaping the highs to go and cry a little bit, or they're escaping the low and want to laugh or even cry some more, like if that's what people need it for, then it's great.
And it was a crazy time. I worked my little butt off to like raise the money and do the thing. And I feel exceptionally grateful for the people that like jumped on board with that crazy ship with me, because I had one oar and a broken boat and went, can we just sail together? And everyone just went, yep,
We'll do it.
no life jackets, we're just gonna do it. And it just turned out to be one of the most proudest things I think I'll ever do.
I think it's that thing of when we've already hit it on the head, but when you really work for something and you get to that payoff, it's just the release you get from that is incredible. There
was also an element of honesty of like, I think what people get intimidated about doing, I mean, kind of anything in this industry, like even like me doing choreography, there's an element of no one teaches you how to be a choreographer. So you have to like put yourself out there and again, be in that uncomfortable zone of just being like, I've never done this before, but you can tell that to people. Like when I was producing, I was not, I'm going to be a producer that pretends they know what they're doing. I'm going to be honest. And if I don't know the answer to something, I'm going to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with everyone coming on board and going, this is what this project is.
Yeah.
I can't provide you with this because one, I have no idea how to do that. But if this is something you're interested in, these are the terms and this is what I want from it. This is what I want you to get from it. And if you're happy with that, let's do this together. And like, I learned so much from that. Would I ever want to produce again? Not sure. Didn't sleep for 6 months. But I'm like, I kind of learned how to be a producer.
Yeah.
And before that, I didn't know what a producer was. Didn't know what they did.
You knew they existed.
I knew they existed, but I was like, they're the kind of people that no one knows about. Like, what do they do? Like, why are they this big scary thing? And then like doing it, I just sort of was like, oh, really? We're all just out here giving it a big old go, aren't we, really? And obviously that's very much downgrading people who have done a lot of work to be where they are and to do it successfully. But I think there's an element of if you're scared to do something, you just have to try the first step towards it and then see what happens.
Yeah.
That started from like a coffee chat with a friend and it turned out being like a show off West End.
Do you think,
crazy.
although you said that, like, obviously you wanted industry to come and you wanted people to come and see you, and some people probably did, but you didn't know about it, or people you invited didn't, whatever, like bygones be bygones type thing. Do you think it acted as a little bit of a launch pad, or was it still? Do you still look at it as this passion project, or do you think the work you did then has helped get you to where you are now? Whether that's like a mental thing, or if actually physically people have went, I know they can do that.
Yeah, I think I've thought about this a lot, actually. And I think on paper, no, because no one saw it. But I think confidence-wise, my like ability to go, you did that.
Yeah.
You can do anything. Like
Yeah.
if I can do that, I can do anything. Also, my appreciation for every person's role in theatre.
I was going to ask that
producers,
next. Yeah.
creatives, sound. Like me and Gregor got in a car. Gregor's my boyfriend, you know him well. You know, but yeah, we got in a car, drove to God knows where, picked up thousands of pounds of sound equipment, and like there's just people do.
And then Gregor crashed.
And then crazy. But like I could talk for hours about all the crazy things. But the main thing I took from that job was like, okay, a producer's job is crazy, and actually the rehearsal room was the nicest part of the job because it wasn't where I was answering all my emails, stressing about my set being on fire in a van 50 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
Like there's like so many things that creators and producers deal with you don't see.
Yeah.
And then they come in the room and they put on a brave face and like that's the best time of the day for them.
Do you think it relaxed you going into auditions in the future? Because you probably, I'm asking you that in a sense of the director is there auditioning for this project, but their emails is probably popping off going about rehearsals, about this, about deadline. If it's a new show, I guess, like script edits, here's that. The character you're auditioning right now is actually just being cut. All these things. Has that, maybe it's subconsciously happened? Is it made you like just breathe a little bit?
I think so. And I also think like that was my first time holding auditions for Ordinary Days. And I got a casting director on board. I got my incredible director, Julie Atherton, who literally made that show what it was. But like I let them run it. I went, I'm not going to interfere here. Like, I know it's my baby, but I also trust you with my baby. And I say my baby, mine and Hannah's baby.
Yeah.
We trust you with our baby. And like, I want you to make these decisions kind of thing of who you want to bring on board. And it was interesting because it was interesting seeing their process of like how auditions actually work, how also you enjoy everyone's audition. No, everyone came in and smashed it.
Yeah.
There was not a single person who didn't leave and we went, wow, amazing, incredible. But it's just so niche actually about what the director's vision is and like even tiny things about like thinking about like ways that they want to connect in a show and they're maybe looking for a certain vibe or a certain like, and also sometimes they just want someone to come in and give them what they're not expecting.
Yeah, shake it up a little bit.
Shake it up a little bit and actually for them to like inspire them to go back and rework some bits of like ideas they thought they had because someone's brought in something new. And I think my biggest takeaway was everyone's fantastic. And I think everyone goes away from an audition going, I was awful, I could have done this better. And actually, most of the time, everyone comes across unbelievably.
Yeah, you're going to have bad days, but even I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Because
it's hard.
As much as we say that a lot of performers have this drive, we're also so self-deprecating. It's just
so
like,
bad.
just be happy.
Yeah.
It's so easy to say that. Easier said than done. But that's, I mean, even for me, that's quite nice to know that people smash it.
They do. Everyone smashes it.
Yeah.
Which also probably means you do too.
So then I'm putting words in your mouth, but like for me, I'm just going, it feels as though you've learned a lot about audition process by running that room.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Audition process, like even just like logistics of everything. Also like things as a performer that like I wasn't able to provide as a producer, but I would want. Like even just things like that I'm like, I have so much respect for producers now of like, also they're just people. And I think a lot of people are scared of them and don't want to speak to them about what they need. But I used to say to people all the time, like, if there's something that you're annoyed about this process, come and speak to me because I'm the fixer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the one who can go, oh, I didn't know that was a problem. My problem right now is my set on fire in a van, which is a true story, by the way.
I was going to say, you've mentioned that twice now. Is that actually a true story?
It is a true story.
Was the van on fire as well?
The van was on fire as well. Oh. Luckily, the van driver was safe. It was all fine. The set was fine.
Bad, I didn't even think of him.
But
or them.
Sorry. Awfully, neither did I at the time. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness me. And let me tell you, we'd had such a nightmare, like getting... I say we had a nightmare. Bob Sterrett, who is literally the set designer who just came on board and created this amazing thing, had done all these boxes by hand. So there was also an element of Like someone I knew had worked so hard on this, put their hard-earned baby in a van that I'd arranged to be like delivered to London to the rehearsal room. And in that time, this van caught on fire. And it was just like...
That's just...
It was...
twist of fate though, isn't it?
It was crazy. And
it's not like the van driver was like, here's your hard work, I'm going to burn it.
Yeah. And it was 2 days before we were going to the theatre. And I was like,
God.
well, we don't have a set. And it was all these thoughts were going through, and we were just about to do our final run of like, not final run, but like a run of what we'd got. When I was like, kept promising Julie, we're going to have set on this day, we're going to have set on this day, we're going to have set on this day. And it was like...
The set's on fire.
The set's on its way. It's on fire, but it's on its way. But then, luckily, it was fine. It was all, like, we give it a little polish, we sorted it out, and it was
it didn't burn to, like,
it didn't
pieces.
burn. But, like, interestingly, what I mean by telling all this crazy story is, like, they're my problems that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking necessarily all the time about, like, you know, if I'm requiring an actor to do something and they maybe need, like, I don't know, thinking about jobs I've done recently, like physio, because of something I'm requiring them to do. Yeah. Like, and they're going, oh, I wish I had physio on this job or something. It's like, well, come and speak to me. And then if I've got the budget for it, or if I can do those things, people always want to help because they want people happy. No one wants people working for them miserably. No one wants that.
Yeah.
And I think that was my biggest lesson of like, everyone is just figuring it out and everyone is open to have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's just how you word it.
It's mad. I think that's the first time we've been able to sit down and actually I've been able to like hear the whole process. It is mental, but I mean, well done for putting it on. To you and Hannah again.
I mean,
from a coffee.
It was not just us. It was
I know, but it was the brainstorm from that coffee that then launched a team that then created a show.
Yeah.
So from Ordinary Days, you are currently on hiatus. You're on a sabbatical, which I never thought I'd hear an actor ever say I'm on sabbatical for. But you're on sabbatical from the hit sensation that is Six, playing Anne Boleyn in the UK tour. How has that whole thing been?
A dream of a dream of a dream of a dream of a dream. And there is honestly no other way to describe it. I think I think it's today or yesterday, I'd been doing it for a year. It was like my year anniversary of Six. And
you weren't even there.
And I wasn't even there. But what was amazing about that is I'm so excited to go back to that show. And when I was doing that show, I did it. I think I'd done over 300 shows by the time I'd left. Maybe I've lied there. The fans are probably going crazy if they're watching this. They go, you didn't need it, 200 and something. But I did a lot of shows playing Anne Boleyn, and every single show I would stand behind the curtain and go,
yeah.
Like, I was so excited.
Yeah.
And
Were you ever nervous then?
Oh, I was always nervous.
But it's that bubble.
And I still get nervous now.
Yeah.
But I get, like, nervous because I want to do a good job.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate and know how grateful I am to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And how many people would kill to be where I am. And also that this time is not going to last forever.
Yeah.
My contract is going to end at some point and I'm not going to be Anne Boleyn anymore. And I'm like, so I want to enjoy being Anne Boleyn.
Yeah.
Because, I think also she was my goal for so long.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, I've played Anne Boleyn now. I want to be something else. No, I want to be Anne Boleyn. Right now, I am like, I don't want to be anyone else. I'm like, I want to love and take that in with like every ounce of time that I've got. And you know what? I think doing that as well, I've experienced so many versions of Anne Boleyn. I bet people who saw me like at the start would go, you're not what I saw you like recently, because I've like found a new way to like work through character, I suppose, over a long period of time.
And I think that's the thing that a lot of people might forget, misunderstand. Like, it's the same show, but when you're doing a show over and over again, I mean, how many times do you go to an office and you do the exact same thing every day? You never do. So like, it's the same for actors and actresses and dancers. Yes, you stand on that mark, you say that line, you sing that song, you dance those counts. However, the character side of it, that's when it becomes playful.
Yeah.
I think that's the skill actually, is to discover new things after such a long time.
Yeah. And I think I'm a bit spoilt with Six, really, because I think I've realised my favourite type of shows are audience interaction shows. Yeah. I used to love immersive work, actually, and some of my favourite jobs were like immersive improvisation jobs because you're with real people. So like, you can't pre-plan before the show starts how the show's going to go, because you're like, I don't know what the person's going to do. I don't know what people I'm going to meet today. And 6 is a bit like that. Like when I go out to the audience, even if I'm absolutely shattered, and let me tell you, I'm shattered a lot.
Yeah.
Because Anne Boleyn is a lot. She's crazy. She's so high energy. And like, you can't take a second with Anne Boleyn. Like there's other characters that like are a bit cooler and like are a bit more subdued, whereas Anne is like the chaos goblin.
So you're a firecracker.
You're a firecracker, so you can't pretend to be a firecracker.
Chaos goblin is excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is like a chaos goblin. And it's like, but I can't like half be a chaos goblin.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so I have to find the energy from somewhere. And for ages I went, how am I going to do that? And the curtains would open and the audience would go, ah! And I'd see their faces. I'd eyeball them like during all the numbers. And then suddenly it's like I'd had 10 Red Bulls because like I get all my energy from the audience. And it's actually the same on 42 Billions of what I'm doing now. Like it's audience interaction.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm really spoiled with as an actor because it is different every night due to them. Not necessarily me having to go like, okay, how am I going to find new things in these words? Which obviously I still have to do. But there's an element of like, every time I say the same line, it gets a different reaction. If I'm in one town, someone goes, hey, hey. If I'm in another town, people say nothing. Like, and it's like also vibing off what they give me. And I love that part of the job with 6. It's like something like unlike other things.
How has it been? Because like, this is like, there's such a fan base. And I think it's incredible what the show has brought to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Of all genders, races, everyone. There's everyone who is a fan of that show respects and acknowledges, defends, criticizes, owns that show.
Yeah.
How has it been taken like on tour and see almost like seeing people who maybe can't come to London every show? How has that been meeting all the different like fans?
The queendom.
Yeah. I was going to say it, but I was like, I couldn't remember if you guys were the queendom or if they were the queendom.
We're all the queendom.
You're all the queendom.
You're the queendom.
I am the queendom.
Yeah, we're all the queendom.
Yeah.
But in short, it's the best part of my job because, like, one, it means so much to them for so many reasons, other than it just being like a bit of singing, acting, dancing, you know, or like funky songs. There's that element of why people love it, but there's also like having a role model on stage and like learning lessons from a show that like a lot of people like, especially confidence. It's like you see these queens, these ethereal beings, and people come and see the show and they feel like they then have the permission to be a queen themselves, because that's what we encourage. And then that gives them confidence in life, that gives them, and seeing like even like fans grow confidence over time when we meet them again and again is also so lovely. Like, and that's what's so amazing about the show. And I have to be completely honest, when I first got the job, I was really scared about it. I was a bit like, oh, I've never left a stage door and had to speak to anyone. Like that's never been the jobs I've had. I've literally just gone, see everyone.
I also don't know any actor who, I'm not saying who likes it, that's wrong, because everyone I think likes that element, right?
Yeah.
However, it's that thing of like, no actor ever expects to be asked for a signature. No one that I've ever met or worked with anyway. And like, that's what I think is amazing about the Queendom, is that they are like so passionate about the job that all of you queens do. Yeah,
and they keep us going. And in a way of like saying that I was scared of them, that was before I'd experienced them.
But it's not even a scare. It's not, again, it's not, it's like, it's the whole nervous excitement thing. It's like the apprehension of it.
It's like, I want to do them proud.
Yeah, it's like I'll say you're a product, it's not the word I want to use. It's like, you're representing them.
Yeah.
And it's like, as I said about ownership, they do, the fans of Six do have a bit of ownership of that show, which I think is incredible. It's
also, what's amazing is the show holds such high not representation, well, it does representation, but reputation of the quality of people that do it.
Yeah.
So there's also that element of like, I want to show people my version of Anne Boleyn and I want them to love it, but no more than anyone else who's played Anne Boleyn. I want them to embrace me as something different. And what I love about the Queendom is like, if I share the role of Anne Boleyn with Izzy and if like Izzy's on, people are still so excited.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would never want to be in a show where people are like, oh, I don't want to see that person, I want to see this person. It's like, no, the Queendom are like, we support all queens, and even when we leave and we're not like the current cast anymore, I know the Queendom will welcome the new cast with open arms,
equally will
and they'll
support
still
you.
equally support us.
It's incredible.
And
I
that's
think
what's
when
amazing.
you see I was going to say ex-cast, but ex-queens, or former queens, I should say,
Yeah.
go into other projects.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the fan base, but the support that goes along with that. I'm not saying that they then turn up stage door every night to see them, but they probably will go and see that show, or they probably. And I'm not saying that's like it's a great thing to have, but also it's like you always have support network again.
Yeah.
But from almost like from people you don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's incredible.
And we do also, like, we get to know them so well because they come to every venue.
They
and
travel
like,
everywhere, don't they?
Yeah, they are the heart. They are the heart of the show, and seeing how much it means to them is like so amazing. And there's obviously fan bases for so many musicals, but yeah, I'm a bit biased, but the Queendom is special.
I don't know if there's a fan base as large though.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I've not seen them, and like I've got a few friends that have been in the show, and maybe that's why my algorithm is always over there. But
me on your screen every day.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, go away.
Shut up, Laura.
No, but it is incredible to see. I mentioned hiatus, so we're doing 42 Balloons just now, which I had the honour to manage to come and see the concert version. Was it a year ago now? Yeah, it would have been.
It will be over a year ago.
Year and a half ago now, which was incredible. How's that all going?
Wow, I feel like all I've said is amazing to everything, but it is amazing. I feel like I'm living on a bit of a cloud right now, but yeah, creating new musicals is something so special.
Yeah,
and again, like, you underestimate like the power of being in a rehearsal room where someone goes, "What do you think, Laura? What do you think we should do for this bit?" Or like, someone will, like, the creative team will go, "Oh, I don't know what to do here," and like all the performers get to like go, "What about this? And what about this? And maybe we should try this." And the creative team go, "Yeah, let's do it." That doesn't happen. Like, that does not happen. And I feel like very lucky to be able to know the difference between when that happens and when it doesn't. But like, that doesn't happen. You get told, like, you stand on this, you do it kind of this way, this is your intentions, this is your movement. Whereas this has been like, I'm on version 5 of some numbers.
Yeah,
and it's
so
like,
new as well.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
But
is it the first time it's ever been fully staged?
Fully, yeah.
Wow.
So the version you saw was like a stage concert.
Yes. And
like that, we were when we got the job, we were like, oh, maybe we'll like, like have like stands, and then some people like come forward and sing. No,
it was full on.
It was full on.
I loved it though. I just loved how stripped back it was.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to see its first flight.
I'm excited. Stop
See
it.
what I did there?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Wow.
Before we wrap up, I like to ask 2 questions because it is already that time.
Okay. Wow. This is float.
Isn't it?
I've had a lovely time.
I'm glad. So if I've just been sitting listening.
Yeah, I could chat all day.
I said I've been sitting listening. I'll watch it back and I'll be like, yeah. I like to ask 2 questions. The first one is, if you could talk to Laura 10, 15, even 20 years ago, what bit of advice would you give a younger Laura?
What a profound question. I'm going to be thinking about this when I go to sleep tonight.
And you'll be like, I wish I did that.
Pondering. This is good for a podcast, just silence, isn't it?
Ponder away.
I'm going to go with my gut instinct. And that is, be brave, be bold, worry less. These are very blanket headlines. But be brave, be bold, worry less, and just do it now. In this today, if you've got an idea, just do it. And don't worry about doing it well, right, or failing.
That's great.
Because with everything that's gone right for me in life, it's because I just did it. And I kind of didn't have a clue what I was doing when I did it, but it's all kind of gone all right. So I think I would just say to her, do it quicker, start saving money quicker, put some money away now, and connect with as many people. There's a lot of advice here for little Laura, but I would say connect with as many people as possible, because if you don't know the answer, your mate will. And if your mate doesn't know the answer, don't be afraid to reach out to the scary person that maybe does, because that scary person then might go, people don't normally ask me this often, so I'm going to take you under my wing. And then suddenly your network's like,
it's growing.
And then that person gives you your dream job. So it's like, I think my sort of advice would be, don't be scared and predict what you think you know. Like, just put yourself out there.
It's amazing. The second question is essentially the opposite to that. If you could talk to Laura of 10, 15 years in the future, what is maybe one thing that you would like to say, or say like well done, or what advice or what question would you like to ask Laura?
I suppose when I always think about myself in the future, it kind of freaks me out a bit like,
Yeah.
Because I think it's actually been quite a recent thing. My answer to your question is I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what I'd ask myself. But I kind of like that because I don't, as much as I love a vision and don't get me wrong, I love a goal, I love a 3-step plan, and I love setting those kind of things. But I'm trying to take the pressure off myself from hitting norms of things that I'm expected to be at a certain age, or like achieving certain things by a certain age 15 years in the future. Like, if I don't own a house, that's fine. If I don't manage to have kids for whatever reason, that's okay. If I don't have a dog, that's fine. If I haven't traveled to Paris and lived in Paris for a year, that's fine. Like, if there's certain things that I'm like, I must do this, yes, I will do my best to do it. But if life intervenes, then I'm like, that's kind of okay.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I love that.
What I would say is, I hope you didn't feel too much pressure to be where you are.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah. I'm trying this new thing of like not expecting too much of myself, but also not expecting too much of myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, going for it, but without any expectation of.
I think it's just such a nice place to be. But it's nice to go, I want this. If it doesn't happen yet, that's okay.
But I also feel it comes from a bit of a place of fear of like, right now I'm living my dream of all dreams.
Yeah.
So it's like, everyone keeps going to me like, well, where'd you go from here? I'm like, I have no idea, guys.
Who cares?
And I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing, but the career highlight of mine, this might not be it. I don't know yet. And it feels like it is. And if it is, wow, I'm so happy with that. Yeah. If I don't work again, I'm so happy. Touch wood. I would love to work again. Yeah. But like, I think I'm just trying to be a bit more like, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. I love that. Laura, we didn't even get a chance to touch on to Brunch in Pairs. I'm going to mention it, and hopefully we can come back to the future and we can just talk all about it. Food. For anyone who is listening or watching who wants to connect with you or follow you and see what you're up to now and in the future, where's the best place to go?
On Instagram, I am at Laura Dawn Pyatt _, which kind of has everything and everything as to what I do on my Instagram. If you want to not hear me talk, but you want to look at food, then follow Brunch In Pairs. And if you want to see me in person, then I'm in 42 Balloons at the Lowry. I go to Manchester this Sunday. Can you believe it? I don't know when this episode is airing, but I'll probably be in 42 Balloons by that point. So come see me in Manchester at the Lowry. And if not, I'll be in 6 for most of the rest of this year.
The time is out, you might actually be back in 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, then I hope I saw you at the Lowry. If I did not, you missed out. Folks.
You did.
You really missed out because it was the best thing I've ever done.
It was so good.
I'm so good.
The bit when that thing happened.
That bit
amazing.
When that thing and when it took flight. Whoa! Honestly.
Laura, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you, the listener and the viewer. If you could do me one favor, if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just take a minute to hover that little finger. Hover over that 5-star rating. It really does help the show grow. We get more incredible guests like Laura on the show, and we can keep the conversation going. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.
You're amazing.